Fresh meat.
I was looking over your IMDb, and you've been hustling forever. I mean, you have done more in the short amount of time that I think it would take me 3 lives to do. But I've noticed that you've been only producing since about 2015. So can I ask you, what about this made you produce and star?
Yeah, I took a break from acting for a while. I had my children and I got married, and I had hit a period of my life in my late 30s where I actually wasn't getting a lot of roles. And so I just wasn't working as hard in acting. I had done a lot in the early 80s and very early 90s, and then just wasn't getting work. So I came back a number of years ago with a film called You're Next, and that was in 2011. And I had so much fun on that film. And at that point, I realized that a lot of the people that were working in the business and had become successful, especially working in the independent scene, were hyphenates. They were all doing different jobs. They were producers. Joe Swanberg was a producer and a director and a writer and an actor in our film. and Adam Wingard was a director and a cinematographer and an editor. And Ty West was a producer, and he was an actor in our movie, and he was a director himself. So all of these people, they were so inspiring because they were doing so many other jobs, just not just staying in their lane, which is what I felt like I did in the 80s. I was just an actor. And Stuart Gordon was a director, and he didn't do any editing, and he did a little bit of writing, but mostly it was Dennis Paoli who wrote his scripts. And I really had such a great time, and I wanted to come back into the business and rededicate myself to it. And I actually thought in 2011, if I want to come back, maybe I need to do what all these young people are doing. Maybe I need to be a hyphenate. Maybe I need to add something else to what I'm doing and not just stay in my lane and wait for the phone to ring, which hadn't been working over the past number of years. So it was at that point that I started looking at scripts, and even things that I wasn't going to be in as an actor, but just scripts that I really loved. And so there was a werewolf script that came my way that I'm still trying to make 10 years later. But then Beyond the Gates, Jackson Stewart brought to me, and I helped him produce that. And then I worked on, a couple of years later, I worked on the Castle Freak remake. And then during that time, almost 5 years ago, Jacob's Wife was given to me because it had won Best Screenplay at the Shriek Fest Film Festival in Los Angeles. And Denise Gossett runs that fest. And Mark Steensland was the original writer of Jacob's Wife. And they had heard that I was producing, and they also felt like this role would be a good vehicle for me. So they sent it to me. And immediately I read it and I thought, this is a story worth telling about, a woman feeling like she wants to have a bigger say in her own life, a bigger life. She wants to sort of recalibrate her relationship with her husband and become more equal. It's a feminist movie as much as it is about a marriage and about finding your voice within a long-term relationship. And so as far as the story, I felt like this was a story that I wanted to tell, and I did want to play that part. And I also wanted to help bring it to the marketplace as a producer. So I felt like on a lot of levels, it was a really important story for me to tell, and very close to what I had just gone through, not having a lot of roles when I would hit my late 30s, and knowing that as a woman inside myself, I had more within me to say, and older women have more stuff going on than you realize. And we're often not given that platform or that voice. So on so many levels, this movie spoke to me, and it took me 5 years to develop it and find a production company that said they wanted to make it with me. And Travis Stevens, of course, I knew from We Are Still Here. And right around the time that his movie Girl on the Third Floor came out, we were talking to different directors, and we said, well, we should talk to Travis. He's now a director and he's a hyphenate, right? So he, you know, he was a producer for 20 years and also had become a writer himself, and he did a pass on our script. He has been learning how to edit over the past few years. He's a producer, director. So I see this convergence of all these younger people now working in independent cinema who do everything. They act, they write, they produce, they direct, they do it all. And so
I like that it's a serious movie. It's dark, but I like that there's a hint of dark humor. Was that in the script from the beginning? Is that something you brought to the table as an actress and a producer?
Oh, I think that was what Travis brought to it, because one of the things, there was a little dark humor in there for sure, but he really embellished on that. And what his intention was that this is a serious movie and we're talking about a relationship and how we just want more equality within the relationship, or Anne does. But her world is sort of somber and steady and a little dull in the beginning. But when she's bitten by a vampire, when this crisis happens, her whole world opens up. It gets more dangerous. It gets funnier. It gets brighter. It gets more exciting. Anne is more exciting. She's dressing differently. The world looks different. And so we wanted to bring, and Travis wanted to bring, this sense of dark comedy and humor, and also hark back to some of the movies that I was in the 80s to give, you know, a little flavor to the 80s horror comedy world. And, you know, but not overtly, just in small ways. And also show that when Anne regains her zest for life, that the world looks more enticing to her as well. And it becomes more interesting.
So there's the man that I consider probably one of the best in the world is Charles Band. I love him with all of my life. And I know that you've been involved with him throughout the years. One of the best reboots I've seen was Puppet Master with you in it. You produced Castle Freak. Can I ask you, is there anything else you guys have in the mix? Is there something that I could almost ask that you guys are doing next?
As far as anything that we're going to reboot with Charles Band, I don't really have anything right now, but I'm always talking to him about stuff. He's a really good friend. We have the same birthday. I've known him all my life. Yeah, just really love the opportunities that he's given me, along with Stuart Gordon in the very beginning of my career. And I wouldn't be talking to you without Charles Band and Empire Pictures and Full Moon and what he's become and what he's brought to the table. And yeah, I owe my career to him. So I hope you haven't seen the last of a collaboration with him.
I hope to see more. Okay, well, let me get one more before I let you get going. But I'm watching Creepshow, and I noticed that you are in an episode of season 2. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you could tell me about your character or the episode?
Well, it was directed by Joe Lynch, who I've been a fan of for a really long time. And what can I say about the episode? I play a very stereotypical character that was kind of in the news around the time that the script was written. And it harks back to, remember the Karen that was in Central Park, and she had a dog, and there was a guy that was talking to her, and she was on the cell phone, and she was saying, there's a man in the park who's, I'm afraid for my life. So anyway, I play a kind of a Karen. So I play a very mean, sort of not very thoughtful character. It was really fun. I'll just say that. And it comes on, I think it airs April 22nd.
I want to make my own decisions from now on.
You ever see something you couldn't explain, Sheriff?
You don't know how to fight for me because you've never done it.
Give me the strength to save her soul!
We need to finish this!